A civilization built on the assumption of infinite growth is now colliding with the physical limits of a finite planet as its essential resources and ecosystems decline together. Modern civilization depends on a wide set of physical resources and ecological systems, and many of these are trending towards scarcity within this century. Soil erosion continues to strip away topsoil at roughly 1 millimeter per year, and nearly 40% of global land already shows degradation. Although claims of only 60 harvests left are oversimplified, the core danger is real because by around 2085 the world could lose enough fertile soil to cause severe disruptions to food production. Soil is the foundation of terrestrial agriculture, and its decline threatens long-term food security. Phosphorus, which has no substitute in agriculture, has reserves estimated near 71 billion tons. Depending on extraction rates, depletion could occur between 2085 and 2155. Declining ore quality and geopolitical concentration of reserves may cause shortages far earlier. Without phosphorus, synthetic fertilizers fail and crop yields collapse. Freshwater shortages present one of the earliest crises. By 2030, global water demand will exceed sustainable supply by about 40%. Nearly 700 million people may be displaced by water scarcity by that time, and by 2040, 1 in 4 children will live in areas of extreme water stress. By 2050, roughly half of global food production could be at risk due to lack of irrigation water. Agriculture is absolutely, fundamentally, non-negotiable dependent on phosphorus. It is not just important, it is one of the 3 pillars of all global food production. NOP, key nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. But unlike nitrogen, which we can pull from the air, and potassium, which is abundant, phosphorus has no substitute and no synthetic alternative. Every cell in every plant requires phosphorus. Without phosphorus, plants literally cannot grow. Not grow less, not grow slowly, they stop. Before industrial phosphate fertilizers, global population was limited to 1 billion people. Because natural phosphorus recycling manure, compost, 1.0 could not support large-scale crop yields, with modern fertilizer crop yields tripled. Phosphorus is mined, spread on fields, eaten, flushed into sewage, lost to rivers, lakes, and oceans, becomes unrecoverable. Most of the phosphorus used in agriculture leaks out of the system permanently. We are burning through a finite, irreplaceable resource to feed the world. Phosphorus once lost, it's gone. Not renewable, used once, gone forever. 300 billion tons of phosphate rock resources globally. Broader data from phosphate rock mining processing suggests that globally 240 to 220 million tons per year of phosphate rock are mined in recent years. Recent analysis, around 25 million tons per year of phosphorus as inorganic P fertilizer derived from phosphate rock are added worldwide to croplands. That mined rock, 240 to 220 million tons per year, once processed, corresponds to roughly 17 to 24 million tons of elemental phosphorus P per year. 300 billion tons of phosphate rock versus 230 million tons mined per year mathematically looks like more than 1,300. The figure of about 300 billion tons of phosphate rock resources can make it look like we have well over 1,000 years of supply. Because if you just divide 300 billion tons by the roughly 230 million tons mined each year, you get around 1,300 years. That simple division is misleading, because the 300 billion ton figure is a broad resource estimate that includes vast amounts of low-grade, deeply buried, contaminated, or otherwise uneconomic rock. What actually matters for feeding crops is the much smaller pool of economically recoverable high-grade reserves, which is estimated at around 71 billion tons. If you use that more realistic 71 billion ton reserve number with the same 230 million tons per year mining rate, the apparent lifetime drops to roughly 300 years instead of 1,300. And even that 300-year figure assumes demand stays flat and ore quality does not decline, but in reality demand is rising and ore grades are falling, which means more rock must be processed for the same amount of phosphorus. Energy costs go up, waste increases, and the usable lifetime of those 71 billion tons is likely to be significantly shorter than the raw calculation suggests. But the situation tightens further when considering what actually matters: elemental phosphorus, not raw rock. The 240 to 220 million tons of mined rock per year do not convert directly into equal mass at usable P once processed. That enormous mass of ore yields only about 17 to 24 million tons of elemental phosphorus per year. This huge reduction reflects the low concentration of phosphate in the rock and the declining ore grades over time. Because the usable phosphorus output is far smaller than the raw rock input, the true effective lifetime of reserves shrinks again. Falling ore grades mean that each future ton of phosphorus will require mining more rock, using more energy, producing more waste, and accelerating depletion of high-quality reserves. When you factor in rising global demand, declining ore quality, and the fact that only a fraction of mined rock becomes usable phosphorus, the apparent hundreds or thousands of years shrink to a much narrower and more precarious window. This is why modern analyses suggest that economically recoverable phosphorus reserves, the mineral backbone of global food production, could face serious constraints within 60 to 130 years, with geopolitical bottlenecks and ore quality decline creating problems far sooner than the raw tonnage numbers imply.